So you might be wanting to farm the brand new event within Escape from Tarkov featuring the smugglers, and today I'm going to show you one of the best farming methods to get this task done, as well as a great way to make a ton of money and get you those elusive keys that I've been seeing lots of people say about. So with that being said, let's jump into this video. First things first is map selection. Which map do we actually pick in order to farm up the smugglers, and which is an easy way to do that, whether you're playing on PvE or PvP. The actual spawns for these are really the most important thing. And so we are playing on reserve. Reserve is just generally one of the better maps for taking out the smugglers. There's a lot of spawns for them and they typically end up out in the open, which is what we can take advantage of, and especially considering that some of them do have those snipers and stuff like that, and they do have some pretty decent armor. If you can take them out from longer ranges with something like a head tap, then yeah, it is really easy to take them out. And yes, you get the ability to also farm Glukar at the same time if he does actually spawn, which is what we managed to do. Now then, both the case and also the keys both spawn on the actual smugglers, so you can find both this case and the keys on the smugglers themselves. So just for simply taking out the smugglers is going to give you a high chance of getting either one of these. Now in the raids that we did, we managed to only get one locked case and of course 4 keys, as you can see here. So this was from 2 different raids, and we certainly didn't loot up every single smuggler in that raid that we did do, but we took out as many as possible, and we also picked up as many keys as we could find lying on random smugglers across the map. So that is kind of how you actually get the keys and the cases. But of course the cases do also spawn on the map, so you can find them lying around, and many of you have probably already found the cases just from simply going around, but it's the keys that can be a bit more of a problem for some people. So with that being said, let's jump into the actual method and how you can make a lot of money at the exact same time. Now then, when I actually want to farm up these smugglers, what I'll do is I will go to the top of the radar tower. It is the most bog standard thing that I'm pretty sure anyone has ever thought of on reserve, and so it is just highly effective if you're using something like a flare, if you're playing in PvE, or if you're playing in PvP, just a decent scope with decent magnification. You're going to be able to see most of the smugglers way outside of their actual range at which they'll aggro you. Now I did have a point at which some smugglers or some PMCs did actually manage to spot me and were shooting at me whilst I was on top of the radar tower. Smuggler AI is somewhat different to the normal one. They kind of push you quite hard in their groups. So think of it like a upgraded scav is what I would say. They do push towards you, and they do have some very good gear, and they do have some very good weapons as well on the odd occasion. So they can quite easily melt you if you're not paying attention. So definitely listening out for footsteps and stuff like that is going to really help you out if you are pushing into the building to check down in the armory, that sort of area. But if you're not, and you're using the radar tower predominantly for the whole thing, you can take out most of the smugglers, which are going to spawn down by where the garages are, and just in that kind of courtyard area where there's a lot of just open space, which means it's super easy to farm. Like, you can genuinely find maybe anywhere from about 4 to 5 smugglers every single raid just by simply going to the radar tower, using some form of long range weapon and being able to just pop them off from there. And then what I typically do once I've kind of gone up there, I won't spend too long, just a very brief glance down there, see if there's anything out in the open, because as you push down from the radar tower it can be a problem. But yeah, as long as there's nothing directly in front of me as I'm pushing down the radar tower, then I'll go down. And so once you've gone down, you can check up the kind of intermediate garage between where the actual garages are and kind of where this like fuel station is. Inside of there, I've managed to find some cases as well. So the actual pistol case, they do seem to be relatively rare, and they spawn in various different places across the map. So just whilst you're going along, pretty much be looking for the cases themselves. That is basically my methodology. I'm not going to spend too long kind of going to specific spots, and if they're not there, then I've wasted a load of time. But it's more so if I can maneuver my way around the map, finding special cases, and once you've kind of found a few, you'll know exactly where they spawn, and you can add those into your route and basically only make a route based on where those cases spawn. And so they do spawn in a wide variety of locations. I've had people say that they've had them in RBST. I've had people saying that they're spawning in marked rooms. I've seen people saying that they're just spawning all over the place, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And so trying to specifically run I guess, directly to the cases, probably not going to be the best and most efficient way of doing it, but just going around the map in a decent line, checking up some of the higher value locations is going to be your best bet, especially ones with technical supplies. So that is really what I do in terms of getting the cases and finding them on the actual maps. But in terms of cards or the actual keys, you'll find them on the smugglers' bodies. They're usually in the pockets of the actual smugglers, so often they'll have the ammunition, and then directly after that it'll be the key. Once you got that, obviously you can open up the cases once you completed the first step of the quest, using the actual keys to open the cases and then get the contraband to submit into Skier for the final kind of task in the task line. So it's something that you should be doing in every single one of your raids, is just trying to farm up as many smugglers. You know, you can play the game how you normally would as you go in for tasks and stuff, but in terms of if you want the most efficient way to get these task lists done, I think the reserve is one of the better ones, and provided that you have a decent level of aim so you can fire at longer ranges, then you will be fine. There's really no issues to this whole system. Now, there are a couple of other bits that are going to be added into this run, because we want to make money ideally as well, if you're trying to farm up a bit of rubles to account for the cost of your gear and that sort of stuff. Obviously the keys that you get off of the smugglers are worth like 1,000,000 rubles on PvE right now, so they're very expensive. You can buy them off the flea, but obviously you don't want to be spending 1,000,000 rubles for every key that you're getting. But at the same time, you know, get those keys, and maybe you want to sell them if you've already done the task. And the quicker that you can do that, the more money you can make by finding more smugglers later on down the line after you've completed the task. But there are a few rooms that I would typically hit up. There is RBKPRL, RBST, all of the buildings inside of the kind of, I guess, the radar tower itself. There's a few keys, and then KPRL, RLSA, all of those sorts of keys up in the radar tower. Open those all up. And yeah, checking up some of the safes as well adds a bit of money to your run. Checking up the drawers as well, because you can get military flash drives, you can get all sorts of stuff in there, power banks, that sort of stuff. Just going to add, you know, 200, 300, 400k per item, intel folders, that sort of stuff. You get them relatively frequently, and considering it takes like, I don't know, 5 minutes to do all of the 3 rooms that I typically open in there, yeah, I mean, it's just an extra like 1,000,000 to 1.5 million rubles every single raid if you're after money. But obviously if you aren't, then don't bother going there. Just go straight for the smugglers. It will be more efficient, and then get out of the raid using the Red Rebel extract. That is pretty much what I did. I don't want to make this video any more convoluted, and that is literally the method that I did. It's making me millions of rubles every single raid, and just simply from the keys and the cases themselves would make me, you know, anywhere from like 4 million to 5 million per raid if we were to sell those. But thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like the video if you did, and of course subscribe and let me know of your routes that you're doing if you think it's better, and I will see you there. Goodbye.